another new episode of Learning Simplified. So we will be discussing on about some advanced selectors here, but before that I would like to have a little bit of recapitulation of the previous tutorials those we have learned so far. Now you might have noticed that so far we haven't mentioned any kind of specification, any kind of name to any of these selectors. Those have been used over here, as such as if we speak here about this one, all of them are practically having some kind of names towards it. So we will be first of all acquainted with the nomenclature of all those things, and then we will be defining about our new advanced selectors, those we are about to learn in this tutorial. Now in the first case, you might have remembered this one. We have said that if we use this kind of syntax without any combinator inside, you can see that there's practically no presence of any combinator. And if we now get back to our project, we can see that each and every paragraph elements, those are inside this particular paragraph tester div. It is practically getting a yellow background and some kind of padding inside it. Now, the descendant selector is the selector that matches all the specified elements inside any particular div or span element. So that is why we can see that this is the class which is used along with some kind of div or block element, as we have used over here. There it goes. This is the paragraph tester class that has been used along with the div, and all those paragraph elements inside, those are practically matching with the same properties. Those have been provided to it. Now in the second case, we have defined about this one. This is known as the child selector. In this particular case, all those CSS selectors, those matches with this particular specified element which is child of another particular element. It is known as the child selector, and that is what been exactly observed over here. All those elements, those are practically direct children of this paragraph tester class. Those will be having a background color of yellow and a padding of 0.7 EM. So if we now get back to our project, we will see all those paragraph elements, those are practically direct child of this div block element, which is holding a class of paragraph tester. Those will be having this type of properties, as we can see here. But anything which is not validating this condition, it will be having some different inbuilt properties or default properties as prescribed by the HTML page in case of a particular paragraph element. So this is known as the child selector. On the other hand, we had used this sort of syntaxes over there. If we provide a plus combinator inside, and if we get back to our project, we can see that the immediate following element, it will be following those properties, but the rest of those elements, those will be following nothing. And if we replace this one with this one, and if we press Ctrl S, so this kind of selector where we are using this tilt combinator over here, the purpose of it is to match every following elements. Those are practically following this particular block div element, which is holding a class of paragraph tester. And on the other hand, if instead of this tilt combinator, if we use here this plus combinator, get back to your project, and you will see that there's only the immediate following paragraph element following to this paragraph tester block element here, that will be adapting to this particular properties, this background color, this padding property as prescribed over here. So this kind of selector where the immediate following element will be following all those properties as described, it will be termed as the adjacent sibling selector. And in case if we do not use this one, we use this following combinator, all those signs inside, those signs will be termed as combinators, and the purpose of this combinator is to define the function, the behavior of a particular selector. So we are practically using combinator to define our selectors right over here. So in this particular case, this particular selector along with this combinator of tilt, it will be termed as general sibling selector. So these are the nomenclature of these selectors, those we have used so far. Now there are practically some more advanced selectors, those being used here in case of defining the behavior of some particular selectors or some particular combinators over here. So we will be discussing about them right now. If we now say that we want this particular div, it will be holding a background color of yellow. So how to do it with an advanced CSS selector? Now we are about to use an attribute selector here, and the purpose of this attribute selector is to target a specific attribute and to impose all the properties those been defined previously by the developer. So this is the exact function of an attribute selector, and we are going to use it over here. Now let's check out this particular syntax here. We are providing div, this one. Now we will be defining about this class, and we will be saying what was the name of the div, paragraph tester. So let's check the spell here. There it goes. Another thing, in case of web, it is always good to copy and paste. That means you are reusing your sources. You are reusing and redistributing, but do not create anything on your own, because that may cause you to an error, and perhaps you may not be able to locate it. So it is wise to copy and paste in every cases. Now we can see that this is a certain kind of syntax where we are providing another background color here. So here goes the background color. We are providing a background color of yellow. Now let's assume that there goes a bluish background color. So if we now press Ctrl S, and now if we get back to our project, we will be seeing that our div or block element, which is practically holding a class name of paragraph tester, it is now having a background color of blue or cyan, whatever you say. So what is the exact reason? We have defined here that any div which has a class of paragraph tester, it will be having a background color of blue. So this is what is being exactly provided over here, and we are specifying this with this particular attribute of paragraph tester here. So anything that matches with this paragraph tester class, it will be having a background color of blue. So this is what is being observed over here currently.